Sometimes success creates problems. And honestly, I think PSA might be living that reality right now. Because if you've been anywhere near the hobby over the last few weeks, you've probably seen it. PSA dropped an absolute nuke of a bomb. Longer turnaround times, bulk submissions changing, more money, more waiting, more friction, more problems. And I think we're officially at a point where we need to ask a real question. Can the biggest grading company in the hobby actually keep up with its own success? All right, real quick before we jump in, if you enjoy collector conversations like this, whether you're listening on Spotify, watching on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever, following the show genuinely helps more than people realize. We're building something pretty cool here. Collector first, conversation driven, no fake hype, just honest hobby conversations. So every follow, every like, every rating, every comment, it genuinely helps. All right, let's get into it. So PSA announced a massive investment, $200 million, which honestly sounds incredible. If you hear that headline immediately, you think, oh, awesome. That means faster grading, better infrastructure, more employees, quicker turnaround times, right? Then collectors actually start reading. And suddenly everybody looked around like, wait, hold on, what? Because now bulk submissions move from 20 cards minimum to 50. 50. That's 50, people. Bulk turnaround times moving all the way into basically half a year territory. 145 to 160 business days. Business, not calendar. Business. Brother, you might send cards in spring and get them back when your Christmas decorations are already out. And here's the thing that really got me thinking. PSA isn't doing this because business is bad. It's quite the opposite. Demand is exploding. PSA graded over 19 million cards in 2025. 19 million. That's absurd. And they've already reportedly graded over 8 million cards in 2026. We're not even halfway through the year. Think about that for a second. 19 million cards. That means somebody somewhere is sending cards every single minute of every single day. Pokemon, sports, vintage, modern, Japanese, English, everything. And PSA said back in 2021, they were grading around 15,000 cards globally per day. Now, 90,000 per day. 90,000 per day. And somehow even that isn't enough. Which honestly might be the craziest part of this entire thing. Because I think collectors quietly underestimated just how massive grading became. We all knew grading exploded. I don't think people realized it exploded this much. And here's where I think it's getting really interesting, because I don't want to make this PSA's bad. Because honestly, that's lazy and too easy, and I don't like to follow the way that the sheep herd. PSA earned where they are. Let's be honest, people. PSA built trust. PSA built liquidity. PSA built consistency. There's a reason a PSA 10 moves differently. And there's a reason why people still pay premiums for PSA cards. They earned that. But success creates problems. And I think we're watching this happen live. Because think about smaller collectors. Not the vendors, not the businesses or the card shops, not people sending 300 cards or the whatnot streamers. The regular people. The collector opening packs after work with their kids. The kids opening pack after school. The collectors building their personal collection. Or the collectors trying to grade for the very first time. Maybe they don't have 50 cards. Maybe they don't want 50 cards graded. Maybe they just have 6 or 12. Maybe they finally pulled something amazing. I know I just did with the Gold Zard. Or maybe they bought one Grail card. Maybe they just want to preserve memories. Now suddenly, the barrier gets bigger. And here's another thing nobody's talking enough about. 50 cards doesn't just mean 50 cards. Think about who this affects. new collectors, personal collection collectors, parents grading cards with their kids, people learning about grading, people testing the waters. Somebody pulls one insane chase card, one grail, one favorite card. Now suddenly bulk isn't really built for them anymore. And by the way, bulk now sits around $25 a card. Let's do real math. 50 cards, $25 a card. You're already around $1,250 before shipping, before insurance, before supplies, and before what we all love, taxes. Now, that also doesn't include the membership. That's some serious money. And look, I know somebody's already typing, just use value. Listen, that's fair. Value sits around $33 or something like that. And you're still sitting roughly 100 to 120 business days. Business, not calendar, business. You could submit cards, forget you submitted cards, rediscover you submitted cards, and then get the email. I think I've actually done that before. And let's actually talk money, all right? Because grading quietly gets expensive fast. Submission fee, shipping it there, shipping it back, insurance, supplies, the opportunity cost, time, and now longer waiting. Imagine tying up hundreds, sometimes thousands, for potentially 5, 6, 7 months. And here's the thing, PSA would probably say, look, demand is insane. And honestly, they're right. Demand is insane. People are grading literally everything: modern, vintage, Japanese, English, personal collection cards, flipping cards, binder cards, low pop, high pop, lollipops, Pokemon, sports, literally everything. PSA became the name. People hear grading, they think PSA. That's a blessing, and honestly, kind of a curse. Because now I think we're entering one of the biggest grading conversations we've had in years. Is PSA becoming luxury grading? Seriously, think about it. Higher volume requirement, higher cost, longer turnarounds, more money tied up, more friction. Is grading becoming something aimed more towards serious submitters and less toward everyday collectors? And before somebody immediately jumps in the comments or down my throat, no, I'm not saying PSA is dead. Please relax. I know how hobby comments work. Bro, just use CGC. Dude, just do tag. Bro, use BGS. Relax. Take a breath. I'm asking a bigger question here. Because if PSA moves slowly more premium, who fills that gap? Because somebody always fills gaps. Always. History says they do. Every industry, every market, every time. Competition matters. Healthy competition matters. Competition keeps companies sharp. Competition creates accessibility, and competition protects collectors. Think about your job on an everyday basis. Whether you're a business owner, you need competition to make you want to be a better business. Whether you're a salesperson, you need other salespeople to create the competition to make you a better salesperson. And here's where things get really interesting. Collectors don't just adapt. Markets adapt. Always. If barriers get bigger, people adjust. Maybe group submissions get bigger. Maybe card shops build stronger grading services. Maybe CGC gets another look. Maybe Tag gets another look. Maybe collectors become way more selective. And honestly, that might actually be healthy. Think about grading culture as a whole. We've all seen it. People grading cards that realistically probably never needed to get graded. Random holo here, $3 card there, binder bulk. People ripping products specifically chasing grading submissions. I mean, let's just think about, and I don't mean to bring these guys back up again, but whatnot streamers and all these guys, and all these mystery slab people, all they're doing is taking like these random EXs and holos and reverse holos and grading them PSA, and they're putting them as the low floor option for these mystery slabs. and they're sending 300 cards in at a time. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. But people ripping products specifically chasing grading submissions, what happens if the friction goes up? Do collectors become smarter graders? More selective? More intentional? Does supply tighten? Because that gets interesting. If fewer cards get graded, especially modern, what happens 5 years from now? 10 years from now? Does harder grading access eventually create scarcity? And if it does, what happens to slabs already out there? Because that is where hobby conversations get fascinating. And here's another question for you. PSA announced $200 million. Infrastructure, facilities, technology, over 1,000 new jobs. That's a huge investment, massive investment. But collectors are allowed to ask questions too. If demand keeps growing this aggressively, can expansion realistically outpace growth? Or are we watching grading demand grow faster than grading companies can physically keep up? Because if that's true, this doesn't become a PSA conversation. It becomes a hobby conversation. How big is this thing actually becoming? Because honestly, sometimes we sit in our little Pokemon corner. We forget that sports exploded, TCG exploded, collectibles exploded. Grading quietly became one of the pillars holding this whole ecosystem together, whether you like it or not, which honestly is insane to think about. What's also insane is me turning on the TV and seeing them talk about Pokemon on the news. I never thought I'd see that happen. And maybe this is just reality now. Maybe grading becomes more premium. Maybe this all becomes normal. But I think something changed this week or over the last few weeks. And I think collectors are really starting to feel it. Because grading shouldn't feel impossible. It shouldn't feel like I'm financing a new Lexus. And it definitely shouldn't feel like you need a small business loan to grade your favorite cardboard dragon. And look, I'm still going to use PSA personally. And I think a lot of collectors still are going to use it as well. Because trust matters, liquidity matters, brand matters, but collectors matter too. And I think companies that remember both win long term. So maybe PSA isn't getting worse. Maybe PSA got too successful. And honestly, that might be the bigger conversation. Anyway, that's my take. I'm genuinely curious what you think. Are people overreacting? Is PSA making the right move? Does this help long term? Does this hurt collectors? Let me know. I read everything because I don't really have a life. Appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate you guys being here. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.